Brenda Paul works as Mr. Combs' mule. He acquires and distributes Mr. Combs' drugs and guns. And holy shit.
Homes throughout LA, New York City, and Miami. And he alleges that he was also forced to keep that drug in a pouch on him at all times against his will. Again, this is explosive. He even lists everybody.
Hey, how do you get that off? Like, my nigga, if you don't have that drug on you, when I asked, I promised you was gonna be a backhand. Like, I could only imagine how that nigga Diddy was coming across. Like, if you do not have that shit on you at all times, your ass is fired. What? If you not have illegal contraband on you at all times, you ain't my nigga. Like, bro, what? But he was getting it off, though. Okay.
In the ring, he says that it is his Diddy's son, Justin, that solicits the prostitutes and the underage girls and the sex workers, allegedly, for these freak-offs. He also lists Stevie J, who recruits the sex workers and attends and participates in the freak-offs, and another young man named Brendan Paul, who works as Mr. Combs' mule. He acquires and distributes all of the drugs and the guns. Again, we won't have time to go through everything in this document, but I encourage you guys to read it because it is stunning. And yes, Christina Karam apparently even instructs them to mix those drugs into the liquor when these women are invited over. So why is the media not interested in this story?
Whoa. Like, whoa, that's something we can't do, right? Whoa. So y'all, like, pretty much really drugging these women. And what? Like, that's crazy. Yeah. So they think they drinking Casamigos, but really it's a Casamigos ecstasy acid cocktail. And they don't know what the hell going on. Oh my God, yeah. I ain't gonna lie, that shit evil. That's evil. I ain't gonna lie, you get the evil laugh. He evil. It's official.
Story. Here is explosive allegation number 4 coming from this lawsuit. That the person who sits at the top of this
that bitch evil too
is Sir Lucian Grange. He is the CEO of Universal Music Group. He is also being sued. He has also been named as well as Universal Music Group. And
he's one of the J's. He's one of the J's as well. I just want to let y'all know.
He is, as a fact, one of the most powerful men in Hollywood. He runs, again, Universal Music Group, which is huge.
And he's Jewish. You know, nothing against Jewish people, but he is Jewish.
Rodney, the producer, was alleging that when Lucian would visit Diddy's house, the two of them would go into Diddy's bedroom and be locked up in there for hours. What does that mean? What are we supposed to think of that? By the way, I looked into Lucian, obviously, because I was fascinated by this document, and I find it really bizarre.
So they was in a room and get locked in for hours, and Lord knows they wasn't talking about the music industry.
That he completely changed his name. He used to be Michael G., the son of Cecil G., who was a huge tailor in London. I found that in this old article, The Guardian. The headline is "Forgotten and Overlooked: How Jewish Designers Dressed the Beatles."
Oh, and this guy is also going to be connected into Michael Jackson's shit later. So tune in.
And changed global fashion. And in this article, there's a picture of Lucian. He was then, again, Michael G. He's sitting with his father, Cecil G. And it's just bizarre that also his father changed his name. The article, it tells you that his father used to be Sasha Goldstein. So Sasha Goldstein became Cecil G., who gave birth to Michael G., who is now Lucian Grange. I mean, totally bizarre rabbit hole if you guys want to look into it. I just thought it was weird. I did a cursory search and found all of that. Perhaps most crucial, though, in the lawsuit is that, unbeknownst to Lucian, Diddy also has a ton of hidden cameras all throughout his house, including in his bedroom, which would...
Yeah, Lucian, okay, yeah, he's a CEO at Universal, one of the biggest record companies, as we know. So there you go, a little insight.
Perhaps suggest that the blackmail runs both ways. Maybe
actually Drake mentioned Lucian in one of his raps.
Lucian Grange. Again, I don't know. I'm just telling you what's in this lawsuit and what we can derive from it if these allegations are true. And again, the fact that there are so many photos in this document at least proves that he does have evidence of some sort. Which brings us to number 5, and this is pretty explosive, that we can garner that Cat Williams was right.
Yeah.
I don't know who Cat Williams is. He is the comedian. He's been a comedian for a very long time.
But all right. Because they're going to go into the Cat. But let's get into how this shit ties around into Diddy. And how things get a little kind of like scary, I'd say. Like, yeah, Candace even go where she kind of got to back off. Because I would back off once figuring this out.
Guys, I am probably not going to cover this anymore because it is definitely getting a bit terrifying. Obviously, we covered this. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch. I believe it was Monday's episode. But yes, the Diddy lawsuit is absolutely crazy. Full stop. What if I told you guys that it is about to get even crazier, that there is directly a link to Michael Jackson's death? I want to be clear that when everything was going on with Michael Jackson, the lawsuits, his death, I thought that we were in full conspiracy theory territory when people were saying that Michael Jackson was killed. I actually know a lot of people that are in the industry who believe that Michael Jackson was killed, and I just thought it just sounds too whacked out to believe that somebody intentionally killed Michael Jackson. Of course, why would they do that? And also, I was believing the media. The media was extensively saying every single day that he was a pedophile, even though he factually won his case. I allowed my image of Michael Jackson certainly to be corroded by the media.
I'm be real, we all allowed it. Me, I was young at the time, but everybody just like made the joke like as if he actually did it. Like, that's the craziest thing. When I was a kid, I didn't understand. I'm like, all right, well, if he's a pedophile, then wait, how's he just out and about walking? And everybody's, oh, he has money and all that. And I'm like, wait, come to find out later on. Because I'm in my mind, I'm like, wait, that'll make sense. But come to find out later on that, no, he won the case and it was proven as a lie. And everybody just kept going as it was fact. And I'm just like, wait, like, what's going on? So you tell me we just disparage this black man's name and make everybody think he's a goddamn pedophile for, like, why? What did Michael do? And we're about to find out. Tune in.
Throughout that time period. I will fully confess that. Now, I want to remind you, before we get back into Michael Jackson, what we learned in the Diddy documents, just to very quickly recap. Well, if you read through them, again, these are all allegations, but you will come out of it understanding that there is allegedly some sort of a blackmail ring that is operating throughout Hollywood, and that artists that are producing music are actually being controlled via being induced into drugs at parties, and then what takes place is they're being recorded, and sometimes they're being recorded while they are in committing sexual acts with minors. And something that we also saw in these docs is that these parties, at least a lot of them, are taking place in the Virgin Islands, which again just makes you go, what's happening here? Because Jeffrey Epstein, obviously, his home, or he owned an island that was just off the coast of St. Thomas. So we hear that again. I also am jogging your memory about the Bitcoin millionaire who, right before his death, found drowned, accidental drowning, even though he was fully clothed and had his wallet in his pocket, tweeted that the CIA and the Mossad were running a blackmail ring in the Virgin Islands. Something else that we learned in the Diddy lawsuit was that the media and the authorities are complicit. So the ring has real power, not imagined power. Again, I am using the word alleged.
And here's the thing, though, like, Jeffrey Epstein was involved in, like, with the CIA and, like, you know, government assets. He was up there and had, like, influence like that and was able to get shit, like, looked away from, and was able to get, like, really, really, really lax court sentences. But P. Diddy's only in the music industry. So it's really strange. Like, the music industry, like, in all hindsight, isn't that important, like, compared to government. So how is he having this much leeway and this much authority over police when it's just the music industry? Like, that's what's really surprising, is how they're getting it off in the music industry. Unless the music industry feeds into the sex trade that's going on, you know, on a global scale, then, you know, it makes sense then.
Because this person, despite having, video evidence and he has presented photographic evidence, this has not yet gone through the court system. And so we can't say that it's entirely true. And I'd say the biggest point that we took away from these Diddy docs was that this ring, if you believe it exists, can and will murder people to protect themselves. And he intimated this event that happened allegedly at a recording studio where Diddy and his son allegedly shot someone, and it was covered up by the LAPD and then the media. All right, so within those docs, and this is where it gets relevant, there is one man that is named as being the person that can do the cleanups, right? This is the guy that you are supposed to call if you get into any sort of a scenario. So in these docs, it says Mr. Combs instructs his staff to always contact Mr. Muhammad, that is Fahim Muhammad, if they are ever pulled over by the police in Miami or California.
Yeah, this guy clutch. So Fahim Muhammad is the cleaner. This guy right here, you call him, man. He's gonna clear everything up with the cops. He's gonna clean up the bodies. He's the guy who knows a guy who knows a guy. He's that guy.
And upon information and belief, this is regarding the shooting that took place at Chalice Recording Studios. Again, he is alleging that Diddy and his son shot someone. And after that shooting, the documents say explicitly that Mr. Muhammad spoke with the LAPD after G was shot at the recording studio. The LAPD was in the recording studio and witnessed the blood in the restroom, and they went with the bogus claim that the shooting of G occurred outside of the studio. Okay. This was all thanks to Mr. Muhammad's connections within law enforcement. So again, what we are seeing there is that you call this guy and this guy will make it disappear, and the media will report whatever the incident is in a capacity that covers up the crime, allegedly. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The cleanup guy, Mr. Fahim Muhammad, was also on the scene when Michael Jackson died.
What? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, hell no, man.
Bro was there when Michael Jackson died. The cleaner. The same guy you call when you need to get somebody taken care of in the music industry. And who was the number one enemy of the music industry back then? Oh, well, I'll tell you. Michael Jackson. And I'll tell you why. Because he was trying to buy up Sony and he bought the Beatles catalogs. And then white people were like,
oh, hell no, man.
And they handed that man a
fatality.
Now, let me give you a little. I'm gonna tell you what they told you. They said that his doctor overdrugged him with propofol, is the stuff that makes you sleep, that forces you to sleep. That you could really only get out the hospital. But yeah, and he overdosed off that, and that's how they said he kicked the bucket.
So I want to introduce you to and allow you to listen to Ian Carroll. He's an independent journalist that is investigating everything that is going on, and he explains that connection that Fahim has with Michael Jackson. Take a listen.
So this new lawsuit just came out that shows tons of evidence that P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, has been running a sexual blackmail operation very much like Jeffrey Epstein, but in the rap and music industry for basically 30 years.
Whoa.
And in that lawsuit, we learned that his head of security while he's running the sexual blackmail ring is this guy named Fahim Muhammad, who before working for Diddy was the head of security for Michael Jackson when he was only 21. And he was one of the first people on the scene when Michael Jackson died.
Well.
And before we go to Michael Jackson, the most important part of the Diddy case to bring across is the fact that the record executives at the very top knew what P. Diddy was doing. They were attending the parties with underage girls where they were spiking drinks. They were deeply involved in Diddy's personal life. And all evidence points to them supporting his operation, or at the very least turning a blind eye to it.
Whoa.
So yes, this is obviously huge. It's also potentially terrifying.
Yeah. So that guy has always been involved, or always been close to some shit. He's always been close to some crap going on in the music industry. And it's crazy how he's just being exposed now after finally taking a deep dive into this guy and uncovering that, yeah, I ain't gonna lie, Diddy was the Black Epstein. Let's just keep it a buck. Diddy was the Black Epstein.